Ascended Twin Flame André, The Secrets of Saint Germain's Plan.
November 3, 2016, by Christine Preston.
André.
According to Voltaire, the Comte de Saint-Germain was a man who knows everything and who never dies. But Saint-Germain had died and reincarnated, and in one of his lives he ascended by resurrection from the mortal consciousness of his human self. Between February and November 2016, a number of ascended masters such as Mother Mary, and archangels, such as Archangel Gabriel, Uriel, and Michael, and the latest being the ascended master Hilarion, prophesied through this messenger that the candidate for the American elections of 2016, Donald Trump, was the one who would be elected and that he is a sole extension of Saint Germain. It was in February of this year of 2016, that we started indicating that the matter of 9/11 would be the first subject of a wave of disclosure. Archangel Gabriel alluded in a dictation, dated February 18, without giving a name, and Mother Mary let the cat out of the bag in a message dated February 28 saying that what has been regarded as a conspiracy theory would be given more credibility, if disclosure regarding 9/11 came from Donald Trump after he had been elected president. Then in April and May we gave a more obvious prophecy concerning the fact that we can see on the timeline that it will be Trump who will be elected President of the United States of America. I, as well as Archangel Michael, have reminded you of the story that it was the destiny of America to be an example to other nations with its Constitution of 1776, when Saint Germain shouted, "Sign that document."
André.
The creation of a golden age on the earth through the destiny of America has always been Saint Germain's special project and one close to his heart. He has worked on it and made an enormous amount of preparations over the last few centuries. He ascended from Europe, went to the Himalayas, and returned to France in a body created by will, where he acquired the reputation of a man who never dies, because he was recognized by people who had met him before. They had aged and he had not. You know the story and can find the details on YouTube videos, or consult the Summit Lighthouse's archives. Saint Germain had previously incarnated as Christopher Columbus, who was destined to discover the new continent that would be called America. Are you familiar with the fact that this name America means the I Am race? It means the children of the I Am, or of the monadic presence. This history is related to a master plan for the victory of the forces of the light over the forces of darkness that have afflicted mankind, and kept them in captivity for thousands of years. Mankind has not had the knowledge that it was enslaved, and it's only in recent years that the situation became terribly aggravated. One of the means by which an oligarchy has kept its grip of enslavement over mankind is by the financial system the forces of darkness devised, back many thousands of years ago. They have enriched themselves by depriving mankind using various methods. The financial system they devised can be traced back to Babylonia, and what appears to you under the guise of a political establishment, is a sinister force holding the strings of control from the astral plane, of the so-called elected government, which was not really elected, year after year, because the system was rigged. A hierarchy that is invisible has been functioning and operating from the top of the evil pyramid of their dollar bill. They are a counterfeit creation of the pyramid of the souls of light, which represents mankind on the path of ascension. The Illuminati hope to keep the top pyramidion separated from the main body of the pyramid that represents the collective of mankind. This pyramidion that they represent as separated on their dollar bill can also be symbolic of Christ consciousness, but as said before, the reality is that this pyramidion is now connected to the main body of the pyramid as Christ consciousness is being integrated. The second coming is taking place as the Christ is appearing in consciousness. Now, the dark embodied powers can be represented as being situated at the bottom of this pyramid, and as a part that is soon to be separated from the main body of this pyramid, because a separation of reality is occurring, as explained before, and they dwell in third-dimensional consciousness, whereas many souls have graduated to fifth-dimensional consciousness, and are experiencing a shift to fourth density. Saint Germain has released the announcement that the World Mother has come with the ruby ray to dethrone Babylon the so-called Great, as well as the entity sitting upon its throne. This is why the establishment is experiencing difficulties. Time is up for that beast of the Book of Revelation that works through the capitalist system and its concepts and policies. Tied to it are the concepts relating to a falsified interpretation of the religious records that were preserved in the beginning of the Christian era. Among those records were the prophecies of John of Patmos, which you know as the Book of Revelation. They are about an eschatological time, the final days, but they have been misunderstood as a time of apocalypse, and sometime have been interpreted as an end-of-world prophecy. And it is true that it seems as if the dark forces have been successful in creating atrocious conditions on the planet. They did have an agenda of destruction, but what is really due to come to an end is not the world, but the forces of evil themselves. And the term apocalypse comes from the Greek. Calypso means to hide, and the term is in relation to a revelation of what is hidden, or even occult, and so it means disclosure. The time of the judgment of the forces of darkness is one of disclosure. I have said this before. I have digressed a bit, but wanted to emphasize that the great destiny of America is Saint Germain's cherished project for the manifestation of a golden age. Mankind has been enslaved by the means of a system devised long ago by the forces of darkness, which have a connection with the reptilian species, even before Babylon and the Sumerians who preceded it, and Saint Germain's plan is one of deliverance from this enslavement. The dark overlords who are incarnated in a minority have a connection with those forces that brought the Atlantean civilization to its downfall. The Atlanteans, who had ideas of conquests and of a one-world government, were renegades who had already experienced life on the planet Maldek. I am mentioning this so you realize that the history of mankind's enslavement finds its origin far back in time. Those destructive beings were given a second chance during the Atlantean era, and after the cataclysms that caused the submersion of the island of Poseidonis, they were prevented from reincarnation for about 8,400 years, so civilization could be rebuilt upon the physical plane, in preparation for the incoming of souls by the billions, which would hold the balance of light against those of darkness in the end days that you are living now. The enslavement through the financial system of the fallen ones was a strategy of darkness, as it makes the light-bearers dependent upon it for their very existence. Do you know, dear ones, that there was a time before the downfall of Atlantis when the people were capable of precipitating, as if by magic, the food that they needed to sustain themselves? But this required certain practices and abstinences which they were influenced by the dark priesthood to rebel against, and which they abandoned. It was the result of a plot designed to bring mankind into a state of dependence upon agriculture and all of the ways civilization appears to have been built upon. Then the monetary system was invented or introduced, and it became a method of enslavement. The Dark Ones then conspired to lower mankind into a state of poverty. The burden was eventually placed upon the lower class. The measure of austerity was imposed upon many nations quite recently, and I don't need to outline all of the problems experienced by people due to unemployment, wars, and environmental disasters. Now the remedy to all of this is opposition to the establishment upon the physical plane. Behind the scene, of course, the Armageddon of the psyche has been going on. Archangel Michael has been cutting free the souls of light from the shackles of their own creation, and from their negative psychological traits, leaving them free for an awakening by the effects of a tsunami of light and love being irradiated to Earth as the solar system is traversing the photon belt. You have been rising upon the ladder of the dimensions, and your ascension has been taking place in consciousness. Your perception of reality has been altered, and you have gained abilities which you will be able to apply due to your shift to fourth density by February 2017. Your molecular structure has been worked on for some time, and even for decades, in preparation for this shift and the one to the fifth dimension which will come after a period of transition. I was referring to the remedy to austerity and poverty, and it is prosperity, the one that Saint Germain will bring to the world. Work has been in progress behind the scene as well as by various means within your spectrum of consciousness. A work of opposition to the control of the forces of darkness has been ongoing, especially in the political field. The opposition to the establishment is a battle that has been waging through a war of words, of policies, and it has caused some degree of awakening among the masses. We have stated in previous dictations that Donald Trump is a sole extension of Saint Germain. Are you able to see that the restoration that could come from trade and laws based on the original Constitution of America, could lead the country to prosperity, and that at some point the replacement of the financial system by one that has been prepared by the Ascended Masters, could be that reset that you have been waiting for? Without the conspiracies of the dark overlords, peace could be established upon Earth quite quickly. The main reason that wars have been waged during the last decades are the conspiracies of the Illuminati forces of darkness out of self-interest. The whole Earth needs freedom from this enslavement. May it be shaken off from Gaia's surface. The World Mother has come with the ruby ray for the judgment of these beings who have been given a second chance, but continue to deceive you and to work to sabotage the plans of ascension, to preserve their own power and control. Free will is involved, but some light-bearers who were most indoctrinated in the way they perceive the external scenes of the world are now awakening. There are astrological influences or portents that will prevent the Dark Ones to bring back their old ways, their policies, and what they call their new order. It is an old obsolete order now that would have precipitated chaos. And the stars are taking Earth to its destiny in the Aquarian Age, of which the hierarch also is Saint Germain. It was the Master Jesus who was the hierarch of the Piscean Age, and he incarnated to lead Earth into his age of love and of a new way. However, his doctrine was altered in the 4th century AD under the dominion of the Roman Emperor Constantine. Many masters, archangels, and galactic beings are incarnated at this time, to lead Earth into an era of prosperity with a time of transition in which the truths that have been suppressed will be disclosed. It's a time of transition when prosperity will also be the result of a financial system that will replace the one that was designed to bring destruction to mankind with austerity, poverty, diseases, control, and transhumanism. All of these things will be prevented from happening by a replacement of governance all over the world. Guidance will be provided. This coming period of transition will also be one in which new technologies will appear or will be introduced as a result of contact with what is sometimes referred to as the extraterrestrial presence. Among the latter will be the higher realms, intelligences that scriptures refer to as angelic. The people of this world are their family in more ways than one. At the end of this period of transition there will be a quantum leap to the 5th dimension in terms of density. You will be recovering many of the paranormal abilities which were lost during the Atlantean decline from the previous Lemurian Golden Age, such as paranormal abilities. Telepathy will be one of the ways you will receive a direct teaching from your higher dimensional connections, such as your higher selves, ascended twin flames, or your monadic presences. You may also be contacted by extraterrestrial beings who have a connection with you and have the mission to contact you and instruct you. They may be soul extensions of your own higher self that incarnated upon other worlds. Heaven is well organized and every detail forms part and parcel of a master plan created eons ago. The drama that is unfolding upon the world stage is but the mechanism by which freedom will be appearing. Freedom is an aspect of the action of the violet flame of the Master Saint Germain. It is by its power that the will of God will manifest in the world. The will of God is brought to mankind from the highest councils of heaven by the archangels. I will now leave you to dream of a better world and wish you to be kept safe and secure in the heavenly light of your monadic presence. André.